Well, welcome into the Roll Jays podcast brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill at Pyramid Contractors. Jeff Vanderloo, Creighton assistant coach, will join us for the Sonovation coaches interview of the night as Creighton falls at home. In case this game had been a very competitive, very interesting game the last 2 years inside this building. Tonight, not the case. St. John's got a big lead at halftime. They kept it all the way through the second half. They win 90-73. The Jays really behind the eight ball now heading into March and trying to compete for a spot in the postseason. This is a very ugly game.
Yeah, I had this down as a must win. If we wanted to be able to relax is not the right word, but if we wanted to not feel immense pressure the rest of the way out. Look, it is what it is, right? We just came out and laid an absolute dud. It happens. Don't like it, but it does happen. And now we just put ourselves in a really tough position to, try to sneak in, because as of coming into today, the last I saw with Lenardi, we were on his last 4 in, playing in Dayton, whatever. And so now, for that to remain true, you're going to have to, you got a lot of work ahead of you. But this was a really tough night or a tough day. I thought we got out physical. I thought didn't take care of the ball good enough in the first half. That really put us in a tough spot. And then, credit to them, because they played harder than us for the majority of the game, maybe minus the last 3 minutes or so. And there's we can look at the metrics and go into them. Second chance opportunities 10-0, which, I'm letting to see what our offensive rebounds even were. But we had 2 offensive rebounds the whole day to their 12. Second chance points, like I said, was 10-0. Points off turnovers 12-4. So there's 18 points, and we lose by 17. So in terms of the metrics, that you can kind of stop there, and that
two offensive rebounds just isn't going to get it.
That tells the story. But the thing is, it'd be one thing if this was a dominant defensive rebounding team and nobody offensive rebounds against them, but it's not.
That's not the case, And we talked about this after the Villanova game and the effect of Zuby Ejiofor and the bigs inside for Creighton. They set the tone for St. John, they set the tone this entire game. And it never really felt like there was any inside for Creighton all game long. We had point guards dribbling into the paint, having to turn around and find something outside. We had a couple attempts at the rim that just got turned away with ease. And you got 7 home games left on the schedule.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like you got to win them all.
You definitely – well, I think UConn's the only one you can lose here, and your season's not over. But, look, I think when you talk about Zuby, I thought Zuby was really good. I thought, 12 points on 8 shots, pretty efficient. The thing for me with him, and I talked about this the other day, was like he leads their team in assists, and he did it again today too. He had 6 assists today. Like, he just does so many things for that team. He's a damn good player.
6 guys in double figures.
Yeah, to me, the guy was Osiah Sellers.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was phenomenal. And then
he only finished with 16. I say only because he had 12 with 8 minutes to go, and he spent a lot of time on
the
bench.
The other guy, which, I love this kid. I love the way he plays. He's never going to be the guy that you point to as the difference maker, but Dylan Mitchell to me was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he got in a little bit of foul trouble in the first part of the second half.
Yeah.
He probably would have played more in the second half as
Just a total, he's a mismatch for us, but really what he does is it's energy from the time the ball's tipped. He's athletic as can be and just creates problems, for the opposing team, no matter what game it is. And, what's my guy's name? Leotopoulos.
Yes.
Did I crush that?
Leotopoulos.
Hit 5 threes today, which that was his major, contribution. But good night. It was
Leotopoulos, by the way.
Yes, you killed it. But to go 5 for 8 from 3, it's just those were, a couple of them seemed like just backbreakers when we were trying to make a run.
You mentioned the 3-point shooting, and we mentioned Isaac started the game 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. He only finishes 4 of 8, and he didn't attempt another 3-point shot after the 15-minute mark in the second half.
Okay.
And I really wonder – we talked about expectations for the second half, what Creighton needed to do to get back into this game, and I thought they needed to attack the paint, and they made the effort. Like I just mentioned, they didn't have a lot of success, but they definitely tried. And Creighton shot 10 for 26 from 3 and just 3 of 10 in the second half. You're not going to win too many games only making three 3-point shots in the second half of a basketball game where you trail.
No, not this team won't.
Yeah.
Because this is a team that depends on that perimeter jump shooting. I think Villanova, that game to me was a little bit of an anomaly because we hit so many mid-range jumpers and we hit so many just bad shots. Honestly, that was like, which is good, right? I mean, you got to win games sometimes like that. Sometimes shot making happens, and even though you don't like the shots, you made them, and so you just got to try to fix that the following game rather than get into those spots where you're taking those shots. I felt like today we didn't make a lot of those, especially in the first half, and really put us in a tough spot because being tied with St. John's, it's tough to beat them, but it's really tough to beat them when you're down big.
Yeah.
And you've got to expand so much energy to just try to make a run and try to get back in it. It's really tough, man. And look, St. John's is a really good team, and I think that as a whole, I think the perception of them is not what they really are. I feel like because they've lost, like that loss to Providence.
I feel like they're better than they've played to.
I absolutely do. Too. And I think tonight, to me, tonight shows it. Like you said, 6 guys in double figures. You had just crushed us on the boards, beat us in the turnover battle. There really wasn't a part of this game that
Creighton won it.
Yeah, that you can really leave this arena feeling like we can compete with this team.
And that's been kind of the way you can describe this whole season, in my opinion, is they've beaten the teams they should have to some degree.
You think so?
I mean, in Big East play,
okay.
They've beaten the Marquettes and the Xaviers of the world, and I think they played a really good game and shot the ball well at Villanova, and they've played down to the upper level of competition up until this point. They should have beaten Seton Hall. They absolutely should have won that game. You had a 16-point lead. They let that one slip away. You probably should have lost to Villanova, and you're able to win that one. And you had to win this game, or at least be competitive. And it just felt like after the 16-minute mark in the first half, game was pretty much over.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you look at the season because this season has been just a roller coaster. One, you come in with absolute crazy expectations, and then we could see it early on in our non-conference opponents, teams that weren't very good and we're really not playing great against them, and then you start to play some better teams, and still it just wasn't clicking. Right, Kansas State, they absolutely blitz us in the first half. We come out, make a change in the lineup for the second half, and then that really was a catalyst for us for improvement. And then since then, I felt like our trajectory in the team has been on a different level. And now we're kind of in a situation where it's kind of back to the drawing board.
Yeah, you're 10-7 on the season. You're 4-2 in Big East play, which there's a silver lining. That's definitely it. You might be able to compete for a high-end seed in New York that may make for an easier path to the tournament, possibly, depending on how the rest of this regular season goes. If you have to win the Big East Conference, and that's kind of the trajectory we're on right now. That obviously there's still a lot of basketball left to be played, 16 games to go. But
there's a lot of basketball to be played, and we'll break it down tomorrow night, and we'll do a show tomorrow night and really break that down. But I think for this game, if we just go back to this game, the part for me is tough is you look at, to me, the second half of Seton Hall, really the last 10 minutes of Seton Hall, we didn't play well. Villanova, it felt like we were just okay. It really to me felt more like Villanova wasn't very good, and we took advantage. But to me, it's a tough place. I know Matt texted me and he's like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Villanova's not that tough a place to play on the road." I disagree. I think from my time playing there, anytime you play on their campus spot, it's a lot harder than playing in the Wells Fargo Arena. So I disagree. But what Matt's point is, it's kind of become more of like a wine and cheese crowd, and they haven't been very good, and so their crowds haven't been great. But I still think when they're good, it's really tough to play against them there. But now, then you come here, and I think you had, I mean, both halves were bad, and so it's just not where you want to be, because you lost a game that you're up 16 and played really well in the first half. And some of our weaknesses and our deficiencies were really exposed. And that's like that. To me, St. John's took advantage of that. today. I mean, they really did a great job on Austin Swartz, took him out of the game, and really pressured the ball, made it hard for us to run our offense. And it's in a lot of ways, it's the blueprint is there now.
Yeah.
And
I feel confident saying Austin Swartz scores 5 points in a game. Creighton doesn't win the game. I don't care who the team on the side of the court is.
Not in the Big East.
He's going to need to be the catalyst for this team going forward. And he has been. When they've been good, Austin Swartz has been good. And he was just 2 of 6 from the field. He only attempted 3 3-point shots. And I think more than anything, listen, St. John's did a lot of things right. I'm not trying to take anything away from Rick Pitino and the Red Storm today, but I think the thing that they did maybe better than anything today was run Creighton off their spots. Nobody looked comfortable setting their feet in transition or in the half-court set and getting those shots up. And it's the way they play defense. It's what they're designed to do. We're expecting Creighton assistant coach Jeff Vanderloo to join us here shortly on the Roll Jays podcast for the Sonovation coaches interview of the game. We'll get Lou's thoughts on the remainder of this season and how things went tonight. But for Creighton, Isaac Trout led the team with 14 points. Blake Harper had a very quiet 12. He only had 2 in the first half, so Blake got some more playing time in the second half. Ty Davis scored 0. Owen Freeman scored 0. And your starting point guard, and I know Nick Graves got more minutes tonight, but Ty was on the floor for 14 minutes tonight and had 2 turnovers and just 1 assist. The last 2 games, and I know they won the game against Villanova, but the point guard play for the last 2 games specifically has been very suspect.
Yeah. So I know what you're saying, and I don't necessarily I can't disagree with you and say that we've had great point guard play. I think if you break that down, though, what's really been the issue with Ty.
Well, I'm throwing Nick Graves into the equation too. Yeah, he scores 9 points now, but he goes 1 of 4 from 3. He has 2 turnovers of his own, just 2 assists,
right,
and only attempted 5 shots.
Yeah, I guess if you separate today out, I'm with you. I don't think he's very good today. But I think your comment was just over the last couple of games, and I kind of disagree on that with him. I think he's been better than people think.
Okay.
To me, the issue is if you look again. Let's just go back to Seton Hall. We lost that second half, and let them back down 16 because we started to turn the ball over. That's where you need a steadying force. You need somebody that can take control of the game, can sort of steady the ship as it's, rocking. And again, we've talked about this a lot in terms of leadership, and that's where I really feel like we're lacking. For Nick specifically, I think Nick is more of a scoring point guard than he is somebody who creates for others. And that's an issue because we need somebody that's going to be, again, I don't think it's not that he's not team first. I think he's a team player. It's just that his game is tailored more towards scoring the basketball rather than being a facilitator. And in this offense, I think it's difficult to have a point guard. The last one, Steven was a really good shooter, but to me, Steven knew his role and was setting guys up. Was going to be able to,
him being a really good shooter opened things up for other people too.
Yeah, that's a great call. You look back to a Ryan Nembhard. Ryan was not. He was a good offensive player, but he wasn't score first.
Yeah, he was
facilitate first.
His ability to get to the rim was kind of almost a last ditch necessity at most times.
To get to the rim. I don't know about that. I think he could really drive and really break guys down. I don't think we've had anybody.
It's a bad way to describe it. Maybe it's more, hey, if you can't facilitate the offense or there isn't an open passing lane, get downhill and get to the rim. I don't want to say last ditch, but
I think you always had
maybe his last read.
Yeah, the thing with Ryan was okay. So if you look at Steven as a shooter, you've got to guard Steven the time he crosses half court, so it does space the floor. But when you look at Ryan Nembhard, you have to be more in the gaps because he could break you down individually and get to the rim and create issues and create shots for other people. Very different. Now you look at Nick. Nick really isn't great at either one of those things.
Yeah.
He's good at both,
but
not great at either. And that's why when he's in the game, the offense is I don't know. I'd have to see it. I can pull it up and see how many possessions he's ending. my guess is it's too many. But the other part of this though is when a guy like Austin Swartz doesn't play well and they took him out of the game, you need somebody that's going to be able to create offense and do those things. So it's a tough spot. I have a little bit of like, I don't know, grace for Nick. To me, the hard part is when Ty's in the game and they're pressuring a St. John's, a Seton Hall. Wait till UConn gets in here. That's very difficult for him, and it does not play to his strengths.
And nobody's going to lighten up.
No. Now, if you tell me, we're just going to run back and set up our defense and play, sure, Ty's fine. But when the ball's being pressured, it's difficult for him. And that's, look, it is what it is. Like, he is who he is. I love him. I'm glad he's on the team. He brings energy. He brings heart. There's not a hustle play out there that he doesn't make. I want him on the team and I want him on the floor. But
he has his limitations.
And there are matchups.
Stephen Ashworth had his limitations.
Yep. There are matchups for me. Like, to me, the best, and I'm partial, but the best point guard we've had in recent memory for me is Marcus Zagorowski.
I don't think that's debatable.
Yeah, I was hoping you were not going to debate me because I have some ammo. But
I mean,
if
the pandemic doesn't happen, you're probably talking about Creighton being a 1 seed that year. I mean, I don't think that allows that to be debatable.
Yeah, I think some people are partial to other guys, maybe a little bit before him, but I think I think Marcus was easily the best. But what you're missing when you compare him, right? He could shoot, he could break you down, he ran the offense. He was like.
He made you account for him.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. He led by example. Like, he did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, and like the only thing he didn't do was he wasn't 6'4".
Yeah.
like you give Marcus Ty size and you give Marcus Ty size and he's in the NBA. But so it's like, you've kind of seen this team and this offense have to figure out how to play with different styles of point guards.
Sure.
And we've always been able to figure it out.
Well, we're not going to make excuses for anybody, but back to Nick for a second. Like, there have been elite level point guards. I'm not saying that Nick's not, that have come in here that have needed a minimum of a year and a half to master the system or adjust their skill sets to what this offense does, and vice versa. So getting Nick on borrowed time with his eligibility obviously isn't a benefit for anybody, but you would assume that a guy with a lot of playing time at Charlotte could come in here and make those adjustments quicker than maybe he has. And to some degree, I think he's taken a massive step forward from the beginning of the season. But I think from an expectation standpoint / what he needs to be, I don't know if it's fair to say, okay, this is 100% on him and the learning curve should have come quicker.
No, I don't think so at all. Look, let me give you some numbers.
And I know nobody wants to hear that. That's just the reality.
I'll give you some numbers about Nick. In Big East play only, okay, before today, he's averaging 10 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, shooting 52% from 3 and 45% from the field in 21 minutes.
It's pretty good.
If I gave you that on paper before the season, this is who we're going to sign as our point guard, are you good with this?
You'd have taken 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to this is not a Nick Graves fan club show, but I just think we have to be fair because I like a lot that there is. I mean, I hate social media, but
let's take the fairness of it. Because is it fair to say that in Big East play, they haven't played the cream of the crop yet? Maybe
other than UConn,
Seton Hall and Villanova in that equation, but they just played St. John's, didn't go well. You haven't played UConn yet. Everybody, Nick Graves included, anybody, Ty Davis, everybody on this roster disappeared for the last 8 minutes of that Seton Hall game. So I mean, it's logistics are what they are, but there's also situational things that matter as well.
There are, but I mean,
this is
just look at
Nick
stats.
Batching,
no, for sure.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I just, for me, and look, if there's anybody out here, I mean, watching this and has thoughts, comments, we'd love to hear them. Like, for me, like, you get on, and there's some real idiots on Twitter. We all know that. It's okay. We don't have to do that. It's just going to give them more attention than they deserve. But there's people out there calling for Mac to retire, be fine. Like, come on, man. I already did one show where I went crazy about that. I don't want to do another, but like, you also have people out there that are just
clickbaiting.
Yeah, which is hopefully what that is, because anybody that actually thinks that is dumber than shouldn't be allowed to walk around in society. But I think there's a lot of people out there too, though, that that crush some of these dudes and don't really understand what they're watching. They don't really understand what's happening on the floor. And again, some of that's human nature because you love your team, you want your team to play well, and you're trying to find the area. To me, the problem is we're asking a lot of guys to do more than we thought they were going to have to do. We thought we were signing a 5-man that was going to give us 15 points a game, 13 to 15 points a game, and
28 minutes a game too.
Right.
Which is what Owen averaged at Iowa.
Right. And we're not getting that.
Yeah.
And look, you can talk about injuries, whatever.
This is the reality of the situation.
Exactly. The reality of the situation is we don't have the guy that we spent a lot of money on and put a lot of eggs in his basket.
And I want to clarify what you're talking about here is without that availability of that 5-man, Isaac Trout is playing a different position.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Green is being asked to do different things. You have to go out and get a Karam Konan to add to this roster to give you some supplemental minutes at the end of games during crunch time. So that changes people's roles from what it was when you're running stuff and putting things in and trying to execute your offense in July versus what you're trying to accomplish in January.
Well, look, on cue, our guy Brady Happy.
Shout out to Brady.
After I took the shots at him the other night, he comes back. He comes back for more. But I couldn't agree with you more, Brady. It stinks because we love the kid as a person, and all indications are he's phenomenal, a phenomenal teammate, all those things.
And I text you, and for anybody that hasn't seen it, I interviewed Owen on the Roll Jays podcast in the preseason. I texted you and I said, I don't know if he's going to have a bigger fan this season than me because I was just blown away by the kid. But the fact is, it is what it is. He just hasn't lived up to what he was expected to do when he got signed here. No question.
And I think I personally do a poor job of taking off my fan, or not fan, but I've been in the locker room. I know what some of these guys are going through in a sense. And so sometimes I maybe give them too much grace, mercy. I don't know,
because of your long existing history as a superstar center at the
collegiate
level.
Yes. Okay. Exactly that. Okay. But it isn't ezy. But at the same time, it is professional sports.
Yeah.
So you got to be held accountable. And in fairness, he's being held accountable because he's not playing. He's not playing the minutes.
But that goes back to everything we just talked about, is him not being available for those minutes is leading to what we just had a discussion about.
Yes. And it's leading to Jason Green being the 5. It's leading to Isaac probably playing more minutes than he needs. But then on the flip side of that, dude, Isaac playing these minutes has allowed him to get comfortable and allowed him to find a role.
Mm-hmm.
And he stretches the floor for us. So there's a little bit of give and take. But I think at the end of the day, if I could tell you, our starting 5-man is going to give us 13 to 15 points and 8 rebounds a game, or 6 to 8 rebounds a game. Yeah, that's probably a lot better than what we're getting now. Jason is playing out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's averaging 13 a game.
This is by far the best season he's had in a Jays uniform, but he's being asked to do more too.
100%. But it's just it really has, to me, ratcheted up the pressure, and it's demanding more of some of these other guys that we didn't necessarily think we needed. That we're going to have more from. To me, there's also been some negativity around Blake Harper. Okay. And look, to me, that's totally unfair because a lot of people Blake's not the one that was on Twitter tweeting about him being in the NBA next year. Blake's not the one that was putting up highlight videos of himself and creating these unrealistic expectations. I've been very consistent on this. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I've said it to anybody that wants to listen. This dude he's a season away. And again, we had him on the show. Phenomenal interview. Mm-hmm. What a good dude. He's going to be good here. If he stays true and sticks to it here, he's going to be phenomenal here. But his entire body changed, physically at Howard. I mean, he lost, I think he said 100 pounds, right?
It was 80, but yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Well, 80 to 100.
Round up.
But he lost a lot of weight. that takes some time to figure, because he had a very much a
person
back down, style of play versus now he's playing more on the open floor.
And he does look naturally hesitant to get to the rim too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he needs a year to go through with Jeremy and become more of the athlete that I think is in there, being able to go off the dribble and attack the rim a little bit more. But anyway, he's going to get there. He's going to get there. It's just, I just think the expectations of him were so high, kind of like this team in some ways. And he's still playing really well.
Well, and let's back it up a minute and talk about the expectations of this team, because it goes back to what we originally were talking about. And when it is sub pseudo public knowledge about what is being spent on players, that naturally raises expectations. Oh, that guy is an X amount of dollar player, so this team must, like, people do this weird thing on social media. They're like, okay, well, money spent equals amount to X amount of wins, which gets you to this place in the tournament. So everybody looked at the money that was being spent for this team and said, oh, this has got to be a Final Four team. Now, I don't think anybody has those expectations now, but that money is still spent. Yeah. With that being said, I do think it's important to go back to what we talked about, almost a month and a half ago, with this team learning how to win. That reared its ugly head against Seton Hall, but it also showed dividends against Villanova. Now, there wasn't a time at any point in this game that it felt like they were going to learn how to win this one. Right. And I think a lot of that is because of the guy that's on the other side of the bench, and the guys in the uniforms in front of them are all pretty darn good. And they've got some pretty big key role component guys that have either been in this system for a long time or have been in the Big East for a long time. And that pays off too. And I'm not trying to make excuses or say that's why St. John's won today. They were clearly the better basketball team, but they're also clearly more established at this point too.
Yes. Well, they're more talented.
I mean, when you look at Bryce Hopkins as the edge of the board, and guys that have been
in
the Big East for a long time have played a lot of minutes in Big East play, it's going to help you win some basketball games.
There's nobody that has better nonverbal communication than Jeff Vanderloo.
Well, now we got to stop talking bad about him, because now he's here. Creighton assistant coach Jeff Vanderloo joins us here on the Roll Jays podcast about 30 minutes too late, but I wasn't going to say that. You did. Coach, obviously a tough one. I mean,
well, I thought if I didn't come up, you guys didn't forget about it.
We were trying to, but we laugh so we don't cry. Obviously, a rough game today. What was good about the first 10 minutes of this game, and what kind of faded away after those first few minutes?
We made shots.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say the first 10, because for about the first 4, we didn't make any shots. We were behind 7-0, and then we played actually pretty well there for a stretch. And I don't know, because we were able to make shots and because we were able to get stops, we were able to get into transition, and then that created some other things. And then all of a sudden we stopped getting transition because we stopped getting stops. And because of that, it was
stops. And then also we didn't finish with rebounds.
Correct. And I believe even offensively, we were sending 3 to the glass tonight. I think Owen Freeman had a rebound with that was the one rebound, offensive rebound on what we ended up with. When we ended up with 2. So I don't know who got the other one, maybe Karam or somebody, but
I think it was a late one. By
Blake,
no,
it was a team one.
Yeah.
So Owen got us our one offensive rebound for the night.
Yeah. And I think Blake and Nick pulled that other one up.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked at halftime too, because we're trying to create a scenario where we could come back in this game. My thoughts were, one, you got to get stops and finish with rebounds, because if you're playing against a set defense, St. John's, it's a hell of a lot harder to score.
No doubt.
But what did they do? Because it looked like, and I'm flipping on you, but it looked like our defense had a really hard time guarding their ball screens. Not so much getting to the rim, but that hostage dribble they do so well. It really kept our rear view mirror challenges. It felt like we were never it's like we're never in shell.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
I thought we really, really got hurt was we had planned on helping off some guys like Mitchell.
Yeah.
And we got caught about 4 times out of about 6 possessions coming to double the post, and we rotated, and they did a great job of skipping out to the open guy, maybe making the extra pass, and all of a sudden they're standing there. And it was the guys that hurt us were Darling and Lefty.
Yeah.
Who we really, Darling didn't even get in last game, and he goes 4 for 7, and Lefty goes 6 for 10 with 5 threes. And, and some of that's on us in that when Mitchell got in foul trouble, I told Coach Huss this is not a good deal for us. Because
they were able to go small.
They were able to go small. They were able to get another shooter in there.
Yeah.
And when he was in the game, we could really sag. We had all kinds of options. We weren't having to double as much.
It's a great call.
And then because when he came out, they put the shooter in. It just went bam, 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 bam.
They only played 19 minutes. That's a good call though. I really didn't even think about that.
Right.
Listen, the basketball's a game of runs, and you have 6 guys that scored double digits on the other side of the court today.
Yep.
When a team is hitting at that high of a clip and performing the way they did tonight, what's the message from this coaching staff on the sideline about just keeping shooters in front of you?
Yeah, Coach Huss's big thing was they have not shot the ball like this all year long. So so what you have to do is that, especially at halftime, he was like, they will not shoot it like that again, fellas. Just keep hacking, take it down to, I was all about with about 4 minutes left. I'm like, we just needed to get it to 10 at halftime, keep it at 10. And then I think it ended up like 16 or 18 at halftime. And it was like, damn, we were, if we could have just got it to 10, then you come out, they miss a couple and you get some transition and, good things start happening.
Yeah.
Well, they were shooting 40% from 3 at halftime. And they cooled off a little bit in the second half. So Us was a little bit correct.
Yeah. No, I mean they're not a 40%. They haven't been. I mean, if they were, they'd be in the top 10 in the country because they got a fantastic squad.
Yeah, and I mean, basketball is so much about matchups, as you know, and to me, this look on paper it's just not a very good matchup.
No, it's not.
They're bigger, stronger, faster at almost every position than us, but a lot of times, and the only way you can neutralize that, Lou, is by having a mentality of toughness. That's where I'm disappointed today.
Yeah. Oh, and we had a couple guys I thought that were really they played tired. There's no doubt about
after
that.
a long road, I'm not trying to make excuses.
I'm not either. And but they were a little bit tired, and when with some nights when guys are tired, other guys got to step up, and take their spots and take their minutes. And
January, everybody's tired.
Yeah, I'm sure St. John's is tired.
I'm tired.
I don't even want to tell you, man. We're in the middle of 16 days in a row. We're going here, so it's. I think we get next Saturday off.
Yeah,
congratulations.
So, it's gonna be big.
And that's fair. I mean, the guys are exhausted and that sort of thing. All that said, though, it felt like just when you look at some of these numbers, you look especially to me the offensive rebounds. You look at it's just there's just got to be somebody that steps up and says, no, we're not going to get punked on our home floor,
right?
And I'm not trying to be dramatic. It's just that's just how it felt.
Right.
And am I like, did you guys feel that way, or did you feel like it was more of just a shooting thing? I mean,
I definitely would agree with you. There were certain times tonight that it looked like they were kind of punking us out a little bit. There's no doubt. Some of it I do agree with the shooting, and some of it I do agree with that we're a little bit tired. But some of it just comes down. You got to have a little bit of grit. You got to have a little bit of fight. And when you're throwing down on each other, you got to win a few of those battles. And we weren't winning any. I mean, I'm not certainly blaming anybody for any losses, but I think our 4s and 5s between them, they had Isaac had 1 rebound, Jason had 2 rebounds, Owen had 2 rebounds, Karam had 1 rebound, and Hudson came in, gave us a few good minutes, but even at that, he had 1 rebound.
Yeah.
So,
but what's interesting about that though is this is the first time in a while, maybe since the first half of the Kansas State game, that I felt this way.
I couldn't agree more. I told Johnny during the middle of the game, I said I feel like it's Kansas State all over again. But we kind of at that point in time kind of found Austin a little bit and kind of
right. And they did a phenomenal job taking him out. I was telling Jimmy. One of the hardest parts about playing a team like St. John's for us is that we don't have a way to really give a look at truly what they do from physicality, from just the way, like to me defensively, they always keep you off guard because you don't know what's coming. I thought Nick got caught in the corner on that one.
Yep, he did. And then he just
in the first half.
Middle,
because I truly don't think it was so much execution as it was just didn't know what was coming.
That was right by me, right on the other side. I thought Josh was open, bam, right away, but then we hold it and all of a sudden it's those angles. But
can you talk, I mean, you've coached for so long, like talk about that side of things, about when you're preparing for an opponent that does everything they do is almost opposite of what we do.
Yeah.
That it's harder to prepare.
Yeah. And like you talked earlier, the matchup deals, it's certainly hard. It's when some teams you just match up well with, the other night we got against Villanova and kind of had a good little matchup with them. And Austin made some 15-footers and Josh made some 15-footers and they were letting us get to our spot. Tonight, they were doing everything they could not to let you get to your spot.
I want to ask about the 15-footers for a second because that has traditionally not been the way this offense has run, but it kind of looks like that is where Josh and Nick feel the most comfortable shooting at. Has that been a tough adjustment for the coaching staff in this system to let guys shoot at that level?
A little. I mean,
Okay.
it's certainly something you earned. I mean, Trey Alexander earned it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'd let him come off there, and you got to earn it. And Josh Dix is phenomenal from there, and they both are. But the other night we played Villanova, and they were doing drop coverage, and so you'd come off that screen, and there was nobody there.
Yeah,
and
so you were able to open one.
Yeah, and tonight there was no drop coverage going on tonight. You'd come off that, and you were going to meet one guy, maybe two, and you might get an elbow, and you might get a hip, and you might get all of that at one trip. And you know, so they were trying everything they could to not let you get to your spots, where Villanova's more like, we'll take our chances with you getting to those spots. And you know, that ended up being a good matchup for us. Now we start missing a bunch of 15-footers. That's going to be a bad matchup. The thing that all that pressing and trapping does up at the ball screen when that happens, there's not always a lot of help. So you can kind of yeah. So there's good and bad to both. I mean, you've been to many Creighton games, and we lived with people in drop coverage when we had Kalkbrenner forever.
You've seen
guys come off there just making or shooting, I guess, 15-footers all night long. And we think that that's a hard shot, and it is, but we're lucky enough to have Josh and Austin that can make that shot.
Yeah. And
you know,
I think you find guys that have a skill set, and when they earn it, like you said, you got to let them do it. But
you only put the guys out that you have too.
Right.
Well, yeah. And talk Lou a little bit offensively. One of the things that St. John's does so good is they'll press, they'll throw a lot of different looks at you. But then by the time, if you don't secure a defense rebound and run, or you're inbounding it after a make, by the time you're really running offense,
you're 20, and hopefully.
Yeah. A lot of times tonight it was 15.
Yeah.
And then they make it so hard to cut and screen that you're really you're trying to run your set, but your set's not going to give you much. And now you're at 8-9 seconds, and now it's just time to go make a play.
Right.
And it seemed like that was a lot tonight. How do you learn from this one? How do the guys learn from this one? So when we go play them in New York,
our turnovers weren't terrible. I believe we have 9.
Yeah. 5 in the first half.
I mean, against that team, that's not
pretty good.
That's really not crazy. But what they do, like you just said, they get you down. There's all kinds of studies that when you go on the first, if you come down on the first side of the offense, you score at like a 30% rate.
Yep.
When it goes to the other side, it steps up to like a 50% rate. When it goes to a third side within your possession, it's like you're scored almost a 60% rate. And what that does when they do that type of stuff, it only gets to one side of the court. And because it's only on one side of the court, all that help from the backside is sitting in the middle of that lane. Because you're not getting them spread out.
And they're in the positions that they want to be in. They're guarding the matchup that they drew up to guard. When you can screen and when you can reverse the ball, a lot of times you can find mismatches. We've always said this, like when you draw it up on a scatter report, you have this guy's guarding this guy, this guy's guarding this guy. That's how you want it.
Right.
An offense is trying to create a situation where you don't have it how you want it.
Right.
And they do such a good job of keeping it. It sounds silly, but just keeping it in the matchups that they want.
Yeah.
And it makes it really difficult to score because I don't think they really even switch unless they need to.
Right. It's almost emergency switching is what they do. There's no doubt about that. And they blow up all those ball screens and stuff.
The zoom actions were tough tonight. I felt it was
and I mean, it's we got to get more physical. We got to get a little bit tougher. And then our guards got to be able to handle that pressure. That physicality is they're involved in the middle of it.
Ty Davis has played starting the point guard position for games. There's been times where he kind of gets lost or is making too much of an effort play, but there's also times where you see where the effort play pays off at. You've seen Nick Graves come off the bench, and as we talked about tonight, he got caught a couple times in the defense. But the point guard position is so important for what this offense is doing. How did those guys, and we'll throw Fedora into the discussion just for discussion's sake, how do those guys take the next step forward?
Well, I mean, it's some of it, like with Ty, is going to come through just continuing to play.
Sure.
You would hope that he was a member last year, but he didn't play a lot.
Yeah.
And so you hope through all that every game he gets better and stuff. Ty brings so many intangibles to the team, whether it's diving on the floor, picking up loose rebounds and that type of stuff. Sure. And you got to kind of take the good with the bad, and Nick's probably a little better scorer, a little better. They're not stealing it from him and things like that. But every one of those guys brings something to the table. And what the job as coaches is to put those guys in best positions for them to succeed.
Sure.
And the best way to have Nick succeed is not necessarily the best way to have Ty succeed.
Because they're very different players.
They're very different players.
Yeah.
Or Fedor, there's another totally different player.
Does that make the coaching aspect more difficult since you're coaching 3 different styles to the same position?
A little.
Okay.
A little. Yeah. And I mean, there's that we go to Josh Dix. And then we just kind of play point guard by committee a little bit with him and Austin and Fedor.
Which is not a new thing. You guys have done that
Right.
with previous teams.
Yeah.
It's been kind of almost positionless basketball.
Right.
To some degree.
And we're good playing that way. As you can tell, what we think this year, the easiest way to handle that pressure is we throw back to Jason all the time.
I was going to say, even Jason's brought the ball at the court a couple times too.
Last year, Jason played the 3. He's playing the 5 now. So it's hard to guard, hard to guard Jason out in the open. And finally against Seton Hall, what they ended up doing was zone pressing us, because they knew their center couldn't bother him coming and bringing it up man to man.
Yep.
And so you notice tonight that St. John's hopped out of the game right away. They were in a zone press.
Yeah.
They were in 2-2-1. And once we showed them and we got the game going a little bit wild, they got right out of that.
Sure.
And that's actually when they made their run. When they were pressing, that initial soft press really didn't bother us at all.
It'll be interesting to see moving forward how much pressure we start to get.
Right.
Especially full court
Yeah.
pressure.
I mean, there's times and places for it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
We'll turn the page a little bit. We'll do at Georgetown on Tuesday.
Yep.
This is a tough one to me. In a lot of ways, I had this kind of written down after Villanova win as kind of a must win for us if we wanted to be able to. Not every night that didn't have to be a
must.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you want to secure a spot.
Yeah, and to me, this would have been moved us off the last 4 in line.
Correct.
So now we're in a position where you probably have to beat Villanova and Seton Hall and probably win one of the 3 against St. Johns Uconn. That's just my guess, throwing against the wall.
Yeah,
His professional bracketologist.
Yeah, exactly.
I looked at Ken Palm, I thought the other day, and he had us winning like 8 out of 9 here in a row. I mean, God, if we could get 7 6, I think you get 6 and 3. I think what's that going to give you? 10 wins right there.
Yeah. The reason I say that though is because Seton Hall and Villanova are both going to be at home,
right?
And so those are going to
and quad ones.
So
hopefully,
hopefully. But when you have a quick turn on to Georgetown, coming off of this one, you just said you guys are you're tired, which again you're going a lot of days in a row. Good thing or bad thing that it's such a quick turn to Georgetown?
Both. Yeah, I mean it's a good thing that we don't have to sit and dwell on this. We got to move on tomorrow and get ready for Georgetown. Mm-hmm. 3 games in 6 days. I think we're playing, and then we go Friday to Providence. So it's that time of year where everybody's it's that time, man. Whether it means you got to go deeper on the bench or one of the subs has to play more, do their deal. Those are all possibilities. And then some night like Villanova, you kind of get on a heater and make a bunch of baskets, and some nights you don't. And that was kind of tonight. It's kind of the long drawn out season. I think Mac always says there's 10 games you play a year where there's nobody going to beat you, and there's probably eight games a year that everybody's going to beat you. Yeah. And then there's about 10, 12 games a year where they're like,
it's kind of up to you.
That's what's going to make your season, those 10, 12 games.
Yeah, that's good. Look at it.
What is your biggest expectation as far as change from this team on Tuesday? What do you want to see differently about?
I guess I would just like us to be more physical and gritty than we were tonight. And it's you hope you come in here and you can get the crowd rocking and rolling a little bit. But I mean, I understand when they had to go on about a 20-4 run or whatever it was there. I mean, I understand why it's hard to get people rocking and rolling when you're getting your butt kicked there for a bit. No doubt about it.
But it's a big one. And for us, Lou, knowing Mac the way we know him, and you much better than me, but we know how close him and Ed Cooley are. Mm-hmm. So the Georgetown matchup always has a little bit more fun in some ways to it. Mac's usually a little bit more tuned up for this one. So I do expect that I expect tomorrow and Monday will be quite a focused day. Yeah,
hopefully we take 1 step back tonight to take 2 forward. That's that's all we can ask.
We'll let you get out of here, Coach. Thanks for your time tonight. That has been great to see Coach Jeff Vanderloo on the Top Nation Coach's Corner.
Appreciate you.
Segment of the game. That's going to do it for us here on the Roll Jays podcast. Don't forget to check out Monday night.
Closing it out with you, Lou.
When our podcast drops, don't forget to like and subscribe to Big East Energy Network. Creighton Falls tonight. We'll be back on Monday and Tuesday. We'll do our regular show, and then we'll have a halftime and a post-game show for the Georgetown game. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.